Hey everybody, I'm Tarl Yarber with Fixated Real Estate. And if you made $77,000 on this awesome property that you purchased, rehabbed, and sold in a period of 6 months, would you believe that you were a success or a failure when it came to this property? Today's Analyzing Deals Like a Pro, I'm going to show you how we purchased, rehabbed, and sold this property and listed it March 2020, right when the lockdown was happening, and how we made $77,000 on this house. And by the end of this video, I'm going to prove to you why I believe that we were a failure on this project. And the question that you should ask yourself the whole time on this video, will you agree with me that this was a failure, or will you believe that this was truly a success? So let's dive deep in this 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600 square foot house that we bought for $200,000 and sold for $430,000 just a little over 6 months later. Let's get into it right now. All right, so we have this beautiful property in Tacoma, Washington, and we purchased it from a wholesaler for $200,975 after all closing costs. Now, this wholesaler is awesome. We network out there. We love working with wholesalers. It's one of the best ways that we find properties. We also work with a lot of realtors out there. But if you're looking to buy one of your first properties or maybe your 100th property, definitely go out there and network with as many wholesalers as possible and realtors because they have the properties you're looking for. And the more you network with, the more likelihood you're going to find the property you want. So this particular property we got from a wholesaler, $200,975, and we believed that the rehab was around $80,000 after walking the property. Now, with an $80,000 rehab, and we're going to go into that in a minute, and the whole scope of work for that, we thought that we can sell this property for $375,000 by the time we were done with that. And how we came up with that number, it's called the ARV, the after repair value, is that we pulled the comparables and comps in the neighborhood to say if we had a 1,672 square foot house, 4-bedroom, 2-bath with a master suite, right? How much would it sell for? And all the comparables at that time when we bought this property said $375,000. So we decided to buy it. That would net us with holding costs, a 10% interest loan from a private money lender. That would, with holding costs after reselling it and selling costs, we would net roughly $43,000 in net profit if we did it correctly. So here's the property. This is the before photos. You can see that it looks kind of messed up. The roof is kind of in shab. It's a beautiful, nice craftsman home that we're really loved the character of it. It has this huge chimney, which becomes a major issue later. And a little bit, it looks like there might have been an addition at some point at the top of the floor. The rest of it doesn't look too bad. You can tell it has a wood burning stove somewhere. It's just a little dated. It's got nice millwork. The siding's a little messed up in some spots. The backyard's in shambles, like lots of dirt. There's no gate back there, no parking pad. We have to fix that. I love this. There's like 4 skylights right inside an awning, like a covered porch area. I thought that was pretty funny. You don't see that too often here in Washington. But you can tell too, the roof's kind of messed up on that. A lot of the windows, some of these windows were newer, but a lot of them were the old wood frame windows. So we're going to have to deal with that on the rehab side to increase the budget. Now going into the house, you could tell right away we have some popcorn ceiling, but we have these beautiful hardwood floors. And one of the things we thought about on this property right when we bought it was like, could we keep these hardwood floors? We also love the millwork. Look at this old craftsman millwork that's in this property and this lovely fireplace too. And we're like, how can we keep some of these features to kind of keep that old world charm? When we do a lot of 100-year-old or 80-year-old craftsman properties in our market. And we're always trying to, even if we have to rip a lot of things out, we try to put the property back to more modern craftsman levels. So it still has the old world charm, but with the new amenities and features built into it. So something that we look at, some kind of a food for thought. Now, I'm going to jump right into it though, but this awesome fireplace that we could have made look really, really cool, and these great hardwood floors, unfortunately, we couldn't keep either of them. And you'll see later in the after photos. But the reason for that was you can't tell from the photos, but there's an actual like big dip in this property because this fireplace was sinking in over 100 years. It's sinking and pulling the property down with it a bit. And it created like a little issue with the settling down and below. Now, most of that's just beam work with these old homes. It's not an actual footing or foundation issues. Most of it's beam work that needs to be done. So we had to remove this entire fireplace because it was ripping away and sinking down from the house. And it was an issue. So we got rid of that. But in leveling the property, we had to rebuild some of these joists and these floors and make them straight lines and level the beams out So that way it would be a little bit nicer, but and also level. And that's a good way that you can work with a craftsman, a good carpenter could help you do that. And because of that, we had to get rid of those hardwood floors. Unfortunately, we had to do something else. This is it's still the bottom floor. You can see the mill works great. These are the only newer windows that we kept in the house. But this was an open space, and I'll show you the floor plan in a minute, that we had in that main floor that we had to remember because we needed to find, you'll see later, we needed to find a place to put an extra bedroom. This is one of the best things about this house is that somebody was remodeling the property already before we bought it, and they did this bathroom, and they actually put this cool penny tile. They did a great tile surround with this awesome clawfoot tub, and they already had tiled everything. You can't see it from the plastic, but they already tiled everything. And this never happens, but we actually didn't really need to rehab the bathroom. Almost always we have to gut the house and start over. But we kept almost everything in this bathroom and just cleaned up the tub, resurfaced it, put some new hardware on it, and then painted the bathroom and stuff. It was also awesome. Now you can tell they also had some newer cabinets on this property, which that's also rare. A lot of the houses that we buy have old crappy cabinets, but these cabinets didn't fit the style that we needed for the house, and also with the openness that we needed to create. So we wanted to remove this wall here. So we didn't throw these cabinets away. We allowed another investor to come buy them from us and take them off our hands so they can use them for their own projects, which is another fun way to get rid of cabinets, is let somebody else take them off your hands, and it doesn't cost you for demo costs. Little thing here, you could see there is lath and plaster on this property. That's an old style, almost sheetrock, and it's a little expensive to remove and fix. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with older houses. Now going upstairs, this was at one point an attic space that a lot of these older homes, they finish and they did a dormer. So they actually made it a little bit bigger so people can actually live up there. But you still have these roof peaks, which are totally fine and legal inside our area of the Seattle market. But you can't count like this square footage here. You can only count to here roughly, but that's not important. You also they technically counted 4 bedrooms up on the top floor. But I don't know if you guys would count this as a bedroom, but I definitely would not count this as a bedroom here. You could barely stand. My head hits the ceiling right here on this, and it does not very good. So we can't count this bedroom. So now we have a 3-bedroom house, and we need to figure out a way to get back to a 4. But we also need to make a master suite on the top floor and move a bedroom downstairs to the main floor. And I'll show you how we do that. But that's part of coming up with the comps and comparables on properties when you're looking to buy them. The rest of the upstairs is pretty standard. You had some bedrooms and so forth. They had a half bath up here as well. It's kind of fun. They had they had to cut out and make a custom door for that. And they did that because of the roof slant. So the roof was coming down in that area. So they customized the door opening, which is what you see in a lot of these properties. They also counted this as a bedroom, which was kind of funny, even though it's more of a closet space. And we ended up using this space here to make a master closet later. And I'll show you the floor plan for that. And last but not least, of course, we have the basement, right? A lot of these had basements. And this had almost an 800 square foot basement. Now, you would think that we'd want to finish out this basement. And normally we would finish out basements to be able to get that extra square footage. However, this was a wet basement. They had 2 sump pumps in it that we had to go figure out and find. And in those sump pumps, this property actually, while we were working on it, the property actually flooded down to the basement because the sump pump stopped working. So water intrusion and water issues is a major thing in my market. So just because you have a finished basement doesn't mean you could finish it. You got to make sure you can stop the water before you do that. All right, so you got to see the house. It's old. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to it, right? But you can't always get the full scope of the house when you just look at pictures. So we always do a floor plan for these properties. And we do something on a sketch first before we ever buy the property. Very, very simple. You guys can do this yourself. So this is a first pro tip. Always make a sketch of your properties before you buy them. Just an as-built, that's the before floor plan. Does not need to be complicated. It can be very, very simple. It helps you get a better idea of the property and also helps you design the property later, believe it or not, and work with contractors. All right, so here's the sketch. Here's the floor plan that we get done for us right before we buy a property so we get a better idea of the layout. And nothing complicated. Any of you guys can do this yourselves. But this is the chimney that we talked about that had to get removed. You also have the front door here, the living area. Here's that big open space that I talked about that was just sitting there. There's a wood burning stove right in this area here. That looked like a really good spot for a possible bedroom. You had the bathroom that was nice, the kitchen that was here with the wall that we want to open up. Nothing complicated on the main floor. But the upstairs, that's where it gets weird. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, they're counting 5 bedrooms up here, even though our tax records say 4. This is that funky closet that I said was weird, that they're actually counting as a bedroom. but we turned that later into a master suite. There's this master closet. This is that bedroom that I talked about where it had like the really, really low ceilings, and then the 3 bedrooms that were actually normal sizes and good. So we knew that we had to figure out a way how to get a master suite up here and move a bedroom down to this floor. Now, what did we do? First, we made a real as-built. We use a program called Home Designer Pro. So we start out with a crappy floor plan like this, and then eventually we get in there, we measure it out, and we make an actual true floor plan, which we use Home Designer Pro. Now, you can get a professional to do this for you, and I highly encourage you guys to do that on your own dime. It costs money, but eventually we brought it in-house for ourselves. It's easy to do, and you can figure it out. So here's the professional thing that we did for it. We use this for permits. This is the upstairs. There's that funky closet, the messed up bedroom, right, and so forth. Now, on the main floor, we had to figure out a way to get that extra bedroom. So we had the front door here, and we got rid of the chimney here. But here we made a entryway, an actual hallway that allowed us to be able to make this extra bedroom here. We also kept the bathroom the same, and we put a beam in this area here. Now, one of the things with these plans is that you could do this all yourself. But I'm just going to give you guys warning. This is a 100-year-old property. So you have a lot of different loads and a lot of different structures to deal with when you start changing floor plans. And if on the upstairs of this property, we need to move some walls around and also move some walls around downstairs, that carries all the way down to the basement. So if you aren't skilled in this, if you don't have an engineer, an architect, or great contractor on your team, you need that on your team to make sure you're doing this right and legally. I've seen some amazing homeowner remodels that end up being disasters because they just start removing walls and moving them wherever they want to. And we have a great video of a property that we did a little over a year ago for BiggerPockets of showing how a ceiling that we were removing some wires on one part of a house, the entire kitchen ceiling collapses on the other side of the house because the only thing holding it up were wires, because at some point a homeowner removed all the load-bearing walls. It was crazy. The whole house was splitting in half. So make sure you get a professional to help you out with this. Don't just wing it, because it can bite you in the butt later. Now, with that said, on the upstairs, we had to do some of these designs. We got some people to work with us on this. Upstairs, there were some loads. You have some ridge line issues with the peaks of the house, and we had some dormers to work with. But we needed to expand this area out here in this part of the property, part of the house, to be able to get a master bath, right? So we actually added a master shower in this area, and we also added a master walk-in closet. Now, the rest of it, we didn't have to do too much other than add some open area here to get this extra bedroom. And we have a master suite. So when you come up this floor, you have a master suite area here, a walk-in closet, and a nice 3-piece or actually walk-in shower master suite. So that all needs to be done correctly. So make sure you guys hire a professional. That's my other pro tip for today. So far, this property is looking like it's probably going to be a success. You see the before photos. It looks pretty messed up. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But let's list out now the scope of work. There's some major red flags that we have to take care of. We have a big roof that we have to take care of. A lot of roofs, so there's going to be a big expense there. Most of the windows have to be replaced on this property as well. So we know we're going to spend some money as well. Now, we didn't explain this yet, but a lot of the electrical is the old knob and tube electrical. So we have to replace all the wiring. Knob and tube is a 100-year-old electrical system that, as you get older into the properties or newer into the properties, you kind of got to get rid of those things because they become fire hazards eventually, the more they get messed up. And most people don't want to pay top dollar for a house with knob and tube. It had a lot of galvanized and cast iron plumbing that was getting rusted out. So we had to replace all the plumbing and add a master suite. So we had some big numbers that we had to be able to crunch to make this property work. And of course, we had all the finished work. We had all the cabinets. We had all the flooring we had to do. We had to do all the new flooring. We had to level out the house. We had to remove that chimney. Let's not forget that as well. Now, we have a great way that we budget our properties, but still stuff comes up. And for you guys that are just starting out on flipping houses like this, should you be taking a property like this and doing it for your first house? Maybe, maybe not. It's a big undertaking to take a 100-year-old house and remodel it. So if you're new to this business, maybe this isn't the right house for you to start out on. I would have never touched it years ago when I first started it out, right? Nowadays, we've gotten pretty good at these things. But if you've been doing these for years, you could totally handle a house like this. But the key is, of course, your budget. So we budgeted $80,000. Now, did we hit $80,000? Step number one. Now, when you buy a property, you can control what you buy it for, and you can control what you estimate your budget's going to be. But once you bought the property, you can't get rid of it. You already bought it. And you can now only control your budget as a business. That is what you're supposed to do. You control your budget as best as possible and your timeline. Now, did we do the best we could on our budget? No, we could have done a little bit better. And we spent $97,000 on our budget. Actually, to be exact, $97,759, which is roughly a 21% increase in the budget. So we failed at that right away on this project. Now, what did $97,000 get us? Let me show you. Boom. Beautiful. Beautiful roof. Everything looks great. It's nice and painted. We have some new fencing. It's looking great. The side yard, the front door. Look at that. There's no chimney anymore. Sure, $97,000 is over budget, but the house sure looks great. New LVP, luxury vinyl planking. I keep wanting to say laminate vinyl planking. Most of the millwork in here we had to do because we had to replace the windows, move some things around. But we kept a lot of the millwork on the rest of the house as much as possible. It looks awesome. We staged it. We always like to stage our properties. And the kitchen, there's that beam we added that we got designed to make sure that we can do that, to hold all the loads up above because we don't want the house to collapse. And we opened everything up. Quartz countertops, open shelvings, nice little tile backsplashes, right? We really put some time into this thing. Looks gorgeous, great design. I have zero to do with the actual design that happens other than the floor plans. I help with the floor plans. But all these finishes, everything that looks great that you guys are going to ask about in the videos, I have no idea what we do to do them other than I hired a person named Serena, who we love to death. And Serena takes care of all this stuff for us now. Now, before we had Serena, though, or before Serena got really good at this, we used to have other people help us out with this. Our realtors, we'd have design people help us out, and never let your contractor pick your finishes. But we had other professionals help us pick the finishes out. Or you can do what we also did, which was copy what other investors did and go walk their flips and try to steal their ideas. So the rest of the house, this is the extra bedroom that we built. That was that little open sitting area that was in the main floor. Now it's a bedroom. And the bathroom, it's the same bathroom. We just changed the vanity out and we painted it. And we also refinished the tub. So it looks really cool. It gives that craftsman style. People really dig that. The upstairs there's that bedroom, right? That we aren't really counting a bedroom. It's a kid play area. So we didn't count it towards the 4-bedroom count. And here's the new master suite. Here's the bath. This is the walk-in closet that we built. And the new shower system that we had. There's that ridge line for the ceiling that we had to redesign a little bit as well. So the house looks great. This is what $80,000 or $97,000 gets us. We just painted the basement and the backyard looks good. And we have a parking pad. Here's a little spoiler tip. This isn't real grass. It is actually Photoshopped. So be careful of that when you're looking at properties. Our photographer that takes properties for our listings likes to Photoshop grass in instead of leaving a lot of brown, ugly dirt. I wonder if that actually helps or hurts the sale because maybe when people show up, they realize there's no grass. I don't know. All right, so our first failure, which I just admitted to, is we're 21% over budget. Oh my goodness. Now, if you ran a business that you were in charge of the rehab budget and you were 21% over budget on a property, would you get fired? Maybe. Depends on how angry your boss is. Maybe you wouldn't be. But if you did that more than once, would you get fired? Hell yes, you would get fired. I'd fire you, right? So how can you run a business that you're over 21% on a budget that you projected as a professional, especially the level that we're at, that we're over so much? The second thing that we didn't admit to yet was we were also over schedule. Now, when we bought this property, we projected we would be around 4 months from purchase to disposition. And in reality, it took us 6 months to do the rehab on this property. And it took us until month 7 to actually sell it. So we were 3 months over schedule on this property, not alone the actual budget itself. So that's what? A 40-something% actually increase in the schedule too? What does that do for holding time? Now, we can only control so many parts of this deal. We can't control what the market's going to do, and we can't control what we bought it for after we already bought it. We can control what we bought it for before we bought it, but not after we bought it. So the only really 2 elements that we can control after we purchase a property that we intend to sell is the rehab and design, like what finishes we put into it and so forth, and the schedule that it takes for us to get it done. And if you mess up both those things, and that is your actual business, that's what you're paid to do. That's how you make a living. That's how I make a living. That's how we earn all our money, is through properties. And if we mess that up over the long run too many times, what does that do to my business? What does that do to my family? What does that do to my team? It decimates us. So controlling your costs and controlling your schedule and planning it right in the beginning is the only business plan that you really have once you're done, once you buy these properties. Everything else is dependent on the market and how well you do based on your finishes. If your strategy is fix and flip, like this particular house was. So let's go over the final numbers and how it actually spelled out for us. Now, if you remember, we bought it for $200,975. It's hard to say that. And we ended up spending $97,759, and we listed it for $399,000 in March 2020, the lockdown. Now, was I excited to list this house? Yes, I was absolutely excited to list this house. Was I freaking out in March 2020? Anybody that is in our business that would say they weren't freaking out is a liar. They're lying, especially if they have a lot of properties like we did. And I wanted to get rid of this property as fast as possible. But yet the market said we could probably sell it for 400 grand, despite what was going on in world events. So we took the chance and listed it for 400,000. And luckily, we had 2 offers on it that bid themselves up, and we sold it for $430,000. Woo! We made 77K on that, right? And I'm a genius. Of course, I knew from day one that in March 2020, when we listed this thing in the lockdown, we were going to sell this thing for over asking and make a bunch of money. No, didn't think that at all. I just wanted to get rid of it because I was freaking out because I didn't want to, get my ass chewed on a property like this when we didn't know what was happening to the economy at that time. Now we're excited. We sell the property. We make 77 grand. A lot of people would see that as a success. But let's go one step further. What if we didn't sell it for 430,000, but yet our scope, right? Yet our budget stayed $97,000 and our timeline stayed 7 months. What would that actually do to our real numbers? So let's throw it back on the board. $200,000 purchase price, $97,000 rehab, 7-month holding cost, and sold for our originally projected ARV for $375,000. Now, after 10% interest holding costs, selling costs from real estate agents, excise tax, which is the state of Washington, that we have to pay, all the property taxes, everything that goes into the property, we would have netted $26,116. Now, we projected that we would do just over 15% cash on cash on this deal. And at those numbers, at that ARV and that budget, it would have been an 8% deal. Now, we wouldn't have lost money. High five, right? Great. But if you're running a real business and those are your projections and you're almost 50% down what your original projections were, right? You can't stay in business for long. So was it a success or was it a failure? Well, I'll tell you what, it was a success because the market saved us. The market allowed it to sell for 430,000 instead of the 375, and we looked like geniuses when we made that 77 grand. Yet don't be impressed by people in this business that are buying properties and selling them for as much as they're selling them today. And right now it's February 2020 when I'm recording this. The market is super hot. Anybody that told you that they knew the interest rates were going to be as low as they're going to be, that they knew that the market was going to spike up in single family residential in 2020, that they knew that they were betting on the market and they knew what's going to happen and they were going to make tons of money and they're buying as much as possible. Most of those people are lying. They just want to look good on the cameras or look good on the video. Because I can tell you right now, I didn't know that, right? I just wanted to get rid of these properties and do my best to not lose it when the market shut down in 2020. So here's my pro tips for you guys in this video. Step number 1, what can you control? Well, you can control your purchase price. So if you buy the house right with the right analysis, you're doing a good job. Can you be 100% accurate on your analysis? No, it's almost impossible because there's a lot of other factors that go into this business. And we're all doing educated guesses as much as possible to reduce risk, because that is your mission when you're an investor, is to reduce risk and make the highest profit and try to play that balancing role when you're investing in this business, right? That's all we do. We're constantly mitigating risk. So what can you control? You can control your purchase price, but once you bought the property, your only strategy when it comes to fix and flip is how do you control your budget to get the finishes you need to sell it for what you believe it would sell for based on your initial ARV analysis. So you can control your budget and you control your schedule. We messed both those up. So the 2 things we could control the most as a business, we failed out. So number 2, what is your business plan for the property that you actually buy? What's your strategy, right? What are you going to do? Is it going to be a rental? Is it going to be a BRRRR? Is it going to be a development? Is it going to be a fix and flip like this property was for us? What's your strategy and what's your business plan for that property? Once you set that strategy and that business plan for your property, it's your job of you and your teams to follow that strategy and try to do everything you can to execute that plan correctly. And if you get lazy, or if you get the wrong bids, or if you don't manage what you're supposed to do, or if you let things get ahead of you, then that means that you're running a poorly ran business. And I'll admit, we kind of messed up on this property. So, but yet, despite all those things, the market might be able to help you out like it did for us. And last pro tip is the market is a bonus. It is not a plan. if you're betting on the market, if you take somebody's business plan and their business plan is that they're going to bet on the market that it's going to continue to go up. They're going to buy a tight margin deal and they're going to keep looking like superstars as the market continues to go up higher and higher every single month, and they're selling it for more and more, yet they go over budget and they go over schedule. How long will that person stay in business? A year? 5 years? Will they be around 10 years from now? I don't think they will. I think there's a lot of people that aren't here because of something that happened in 2008. And long term, despite market going up or not, eventually it'll bite someone in the butt. Hopefully it's not going to be you. It's definitely not going to be me, right? And I hope you guys get a lot out of this video. I believe that this project, even though I'm very, very excited that we made $77,000, and I definitely went to the bank and we cashed that check, and I definitely paid my team, and everybody was happy to get this property done and make all that money. I'm not going to turn it away, right? But at the end of the day, if we're truly analyzing our deals and we're truly analyzing ourselves and we're analyzing the output we put into our business, we messed this one up. We could have done better. But I want to go one more level on you guys on how badly we messed this up. Wait for it. Not everybody likes this website called Zillow, right? But we sold this thing in such a hurry, and it technically closed May of 2020. And pulling up the Zestimate of this property right now, look at that. It's 8 months later after I sold this property, and it's already Zestimate is $490,000. I sold it for $430,000 thinking that the market was crazy. It's crazy. I really messed this property up. It's definitely a failure. I should have kept it as a bird this whole time. I should have waited to list it because I should have known that the house was going to be worth almost $500,000. No. There's no way I would have known. If you would have told me that it would sell for $500,000, I'd be like, you're lying, you're smoking drugs, right? Totally not the case. Now, that said, I made the best decision I could with the information we had. You need to make the best decision with the information that you have currently. Nobody would have foreseen that this property would be almost $500,000 today. And even though Zestimate is technically not accurate, especially when it comes to our market in Tacoma and this particular house, I can promise you, based on the houses we're selling right now in the market in that area, it probably would sell for $490,000. It'd probably sell for $500,000 actually all day in that market right now. So did I make a mistake? I don't think I made a mistake selling it at the time. Knowing what I know now, but hindsight's 2020. Yeah, I wish I kept it. Yes, I wish I would have kept the damn thing, but we didn't. So make the best decision for yourself and your business today. Project as long as you can, but you can't be perfect. Nobody is. I hope you guys like this video. You can follow me at Tarl Yarber on Instagram. You can also comment, like, subscribe to this video with BiggerPockets. Please definitely make your comments on it. I would love to find out what kind of questions you guys have on this video, and if you guys want more videos like this, let us know so we can continue to make these for you. If you don't like them, we're not going to make any more. Trust me, it takes a lot of work to do this. But if you like them, let us know. Also, check out BiggerPockets.com. Use promo code TARL20 on BiggerPockets.com to get a lot of benefits if you become a member of the actual website. I've learned so much from BiggerPockets. I would not be able to do this business if it wasn't for BiggerPockets. There's so many tools and features on that site that you can actually use for your business right now for free, right, that I was able to take advantage of a long, long time ago, and I bet you guys can too. Check out their podcast also, episode 398, and it's probably one of the best ones, and 195. So anyways, that said, I hope you guys liked it, and I will see you guys in the next video.